Acharya's appearance day, so that'll be the class.
Yes, Maharaj. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, my humble obeisances to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you all for joining His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj's daily class. Today, as Maharaj said, we are doing, today is auspicious day of Advaita Acharya's, Srila Advaita Acharya's appearance day. So we are learning about him today. Hare Krishna Maharaj, my humble obeisances to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Is there any verse to share, Maharaj, for the class today?
I didn't plan one, but if you want, you can go to the 6th chapter of Adi Leela. We can pick one out.
Yes, Maharaj. I'll share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the 6th chapter, and
Yeah, just go down and I'll pick one out.
okay.
Yeah. Well, text number 5. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vindam Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vindam Advaitam Harinandvarita Acharya Bhakta Samsanat Bhakta Avataram Isham Tam Advaita Charyam Asraye. Translation. Because he is non-different from Hari, the Supreme Lord, he is called Advaita. And because he propagates the cult of devotion, he is called Acharya. He is the Lord and the incarnation of the Lord's devotee. Therefore, I take shelter of him. So here's his identity. He is both the Supreme Lord and an incarnation of the Lord in one manifestation known as Advaita Acharya. He is Mahavishnu and Shiva, and Sadashiva, the original Shiva, who has his planet in the spiritual world, which is the source of all of the other Shivas throughout all of the other universes. Omagyantimirandasya Ginajana Salakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pastyatya Desatarine Vanchakalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhupe Vachapatitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namah. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Mahavishnu is the source of the material worlds. As the Lord expands originally from Shri Krishna into Baladev, from Baladev into the Chaturvyuha, which is Vasudeva, Aniruddha, Sankarshana, and Pradyumna, then that Sankarshana expands into Lord Narayan, who manifests as all of the Narayan forms in the spiritual world. That expansion of Narayan comes into the second Chaturvyuha, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. The second Sankarshana, which is an energy of Lord Baladev, expands into Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu is the source of the creation of the material world. So Mahavishnu, in order to create the material world, he glances over the creative energies in the form of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and fourth ego. This is known as Pradhan. Pradhan is the aggregate of all of these energies in an unmanifested form. They exist just like an egg-like shape within that egg, all of these energies are there, but nothing is moving. It's all dormant. And then when Mahavishnu wants to bring about the creation, he glances towards the Pradhan, and that glance is a combination of his energy, Mahavishnu, and Sadashiva. So that glance is Advaita Acharya, actually. That's why he's called the source of all living entities also, because he is that glance. In that glance, there is Sadashiva, there is the living entities who are formally staying within the body of Mahavishnu due to the interim period between the manifestations. When the universe is wounded up, the living entities are there in the material world. They go back into Mahavishnu and stay there in Yoga Nidra, in a sleep state. And then when it's time for the manifestation of the creation to again come, then Mahavishnu glances. And in that glance, there is the living entities, Sadashiva, the original Shiva, not the Shiva in each of the universes. That is a different Shiva. That's a post. Sadashiva is the source of all of the other Shivas, and he has his planet in the spiritual world. And then also in that glance is the time factor. So these three, time factor is what moves the material energy. So when that glance hits the Pradhan, it starts to agitate the aggregate of these material energies, which are in a dormant state, and then they start to move. And that is called Maya. So that second manifestation of Pradhan is called Maya. And then the Lord expands himself into Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and from that a lotus flower sprouts from his navel, and Lord Brahma comes. Lord Brahma is given knowledge by the Supreme Lord within the heart. Teni Brahma Ida Hari Kavaye. He is the original poet. He is the original source of all of the energies of the Lord that manifest in the form of the 8,400,000 forms. So this is how creation starts to unfold. So that glance is Advaita Acharya. So he's a combination of Mahavishnu and Sadashiva. And he comes in the world, although he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it says here he is also the incarnation of the Lord's devotee. So the Lord devotee incarnates in the form of Advaita Acharya. Now, Advaita Acharya, in his mood as Sadashiva, because Shiva is very compassionate. He wants to raise the living entities to the platform of devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we hear about Shiva. He is called Sambhu. Vaishnavanam Kyata Shambhu. Shambhu means that, and it's a name for Lord Shiva, but he is the foremost of all Vaishnavas. That's mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, towards the end of the Bhagavatam, where it mentions the different manifestations of the greatness of the spiritual elements. And he is the greatest of all Vaishnavas. So he has that compassionate nature to raise the living entities. Sometimes he says, sometimes it's said he's the second super soul, because he knows the hearts of all living entities in the material world. And so that combination of Mahavishnu and Sadashiva, he was there prior to the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. Actually, it would say that Advaita Acharya was 52 years older than Lord Chaitanya. In other words, Lord Chaitanya appeared when Advaita Acharya was 52 years old. Now, Advaita Acharya was noticing what was going on in Navadvip at the time, and he was very, not only disappointed, but simultaneously angry. The living entities were wasting their life, centering around all of their activities for material gain through demigod worship. Demigod worship was very big in Navadvip at the time. And people were making deities of the different demigods, such as, Ganesh and, Surya, even Indra, making so many different demigods and performing some worship in order to get some material gain. And when they were done with the worship, they would take the deity and throw it in the Ganga. So that was very popular at the time when Advaita was there. And also, they were also doing very strange types of tantric worship. It was just mentioned in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that they were using their money to perform great weddings for animals. They were marrying cats and dogs in a form of marriageal ceremony. So people were becoming somewhat degraded. And very few people in that area were devotees. Haridas Thakur was there before Lord Chaitanya. Srivas Thakur and his brothers were there before Lord Chaitanya. Mukunda was also there before Lord Chaitanya, and a few others. But and because the devotees were so small in number, they could not do much. People. So Advaita was thinking, I should just take out my chakra, because he's Mahavishnu, and just kill them all. What's the use of their existence? They're just wasting their life performing all of this materialistic worship. But then he thought, maybe this is the work of the Supreme Lord. So he decided to undergo a ceremony wherein he gathered Shalagran Shilas, made an altar on the banks of the Ganga. The Ganga runs through Navadvip. And with tulsi leaves, sandalwood pulp, and flowers, he started to offer puja to the Shalagran Shila, crying very loudly, calling out very loudly for the Supreme Lord to come. Advaita Acharya is the Supreme Lord, so he is also omniscient. He knows past, present, and future. There was one personality, actually a family, it was Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata. Sachimata, at the time, was a young girl, and she had just recently gotten married. And she was pregnant at the time when Advaita was there. And so Advaita, when he was doing his puja, he was offering the flowers, the tulsi leaves, sandalwood pulp, and throwing the offering into the Ganges to consummate the offering. And the flowers were floating down the Ganga, and they were going to different places. And there was one ghat where Sachimata would go every day for bathing, and she was pregnant at the time. So when she was there, these flowers would hit her abdomen and immediately cause a miscarriage as soon as the flowers would hit the abdomen. And this went on for some time, and it's explained that she had 8 miscarriages before the personality of Godhead, Vishwarup, which was the older brother of Lord Chaitanya, actually appeared. So Advaita Acharya was accelerating the coming of Lord Chaitanya through this worship, and at the same praying. So it says in the Bhagavad Gita that the Lord comes whenever there's a decline in irreligion and a decline of religion and a rise in irreligion. And he comes to reestablish religious principles and to give pleasure to his devotees. And he also comes, Lord Chaitanya also came in order to enact the Yuga Dharma, the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And it says the third reason he came, there are 3 reasons that are called the external reasons, and 3 reasons that are called the internal reasons. So to reestablish religious principles, to propagate the Dharma of the age, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and to respond to the calls of Advaita Acharya. These were the three external reasons why Lord Chaitanya appeared in this world. So it's quite interesting. Advaita Acharya was very fundamental in bringing about the presence of Lord Chaitanya. And of course, in the year 1506 Sakabda, which corresponds to the year 1586 in the Christian calendar, the Lord appeared as Nimai. Of course, that was his original. He came during the full moon time when everyone, it was actually a lunar eclipse. The Lord appeared in a lunar eclipse, which was considered inauspicious. Why? Because during that time, it's when Rahu comes in front of the moon. And therefore, the Rahu tries to do harm to the moon. It's called a lunar eclipse. And people understand it's an inauspicious time. So they go down to the banks of the Ganges and bathe into the Ganges and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to counteract the effects of the lunar eclipse. So Lord Chaitanya arranged that as a way for him to appear in the world where everyone was chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So by the prayers of Advaita Acharya, the Lord appeared in the world. So Advaita Acharya, there were many pastimes with Lord Chaitanya and Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya had a assistant called Kamalakanta Vishvasu. And Kamalakanta Vishvasu, one time he wrote a note. And in that note, he wrote, Advaita Acharya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has a debt of 300 rupees to the king of Puri. So that note happened to get into the hands of Lord Chaitanya. When he read the note, he became quite angry. What is he saying? He's calling the Supreme Personality of Godhead an ordinary debtor. This is very offensive. So he got angry at Kamalakanta Vishvasu. That was one. And when Advaita Acharya found out, he corrected his assistant. Advaita Acharya, although he was the Supreme Lord, and Krishna and Lord Chaitanya wanted to worship him in that mood, Advaita Acharya wanted to worship Lord Chaitanya. So it was quite a dichotomy. Advaita wanted to worship Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya wanted to worship Advaita. So, but Advaita, in order to worship the Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself, or Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya, he is Radharani's mood, but he is Krishna himself, coming in the form of a devotee of the Lord to teach religious principles from the platform of a devotee. And so Advaita Acharya was very upset because he could not get Lord Chaitanya to accept his worship. Every time he would try to honor Lord Chaitanya would pay his obeisances to him and honor him as the Supreme Lord. So he decided to do something to change the whole situation. So he understood what will get Lord Chaitanya angry at him. Ah, yes, Lord Chaitanya has come to destroy this idea that the living entity is God. There's one class of philosophers known as the Mayavadis. They say Brahma is one, and the living entity is also part of Brahman. All living entities make up Brahman, and Brahman is one. There is no two. Therefore, the living entities are also God, but covered by the material energy. And of course, this is quite ludicrous. How could God be covered by the material energy? God is the source of that same energy and the controller of that energy also. This is their speculative theories based on certain statements they take out of the scriptures and twist the meanings around, that the living entity is actually God. So Lord Chaitanya came, and anyone who called Lord Chaitanya God, he would block his ears and he would say, "No, no, no, I am not God. I am a servant of the God of the Lord." So he would never be accepting anybody who would call him God. This only happened one time, but that was a special occasion. That was a Mahaprakash Leela, which happened later. But Advaita wanted to worship the Lord in that mood. So he decided to go out and hear from certain philosophers, Mayavadis, Karmakandis, Jnanakandis, and they were teaching this philosophy called Yoga Vishishta, which teaches that Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga are superior to Bhakti Yoga. And the word got back to Lord Chaitanya that Advaita was going and hearing from these personalities. Lord Chaitanya started becoming a little pensive. What is he doing? Why is he doing that? But he didn't do anything immediately. Then after some time, Lord Chaitanya decided to do something, to stop Advaita from doing what he was doing. So he said Advaita was living in one place called Shantipur. He was the leading Brahmin in that area of the world called Shantipur. There's a temple there. Srila Prabhupada, before he began his mission of coming to the West to preach Krishna consciousness, he used to visit every day Shantipur, and he would sit in one small corner of the temple and just chant. One pujari there who would notice, who is this saintly person? He comes every day. He doesn't say anything. He just goes to this corner and starts chanting. So this was one going on. Of course, later on, that same pujari found out that that person was the person who began the Hare Krishna movement all over the world. And so Advaita was living in that area. He had his wife, Sita Thakurani. Of course, he had children. We'll mention a little bit about his children later. And so Lord Chaitanya said to Lord Nityananda, "Hey, Nitai, let's go visit Advaita in Shantipur." So they began their trek. They came to the Ganga and started following the Ganga, because the Ganga leads from Navadvip to Shantipur. Walking along the banks of the Ganga. And then at one point, Lord Chaitanya noticed there was a hut there, a little small hut. And he said to Nitai, whose hut is that? Who's living there? Nityananda said, "Oh, that's a sannyasi." And Lord Chaitanya said, "Oh, sannyasi. Let's go take blessings from this sannyasi." So they went in. He sat down, and there was an elderly gentleman there. He was dressed in some raggy sannyas garments. And he welcomed them. And they sat quietly. And then Lord Chaitanya said, "I think we should ask him a question." So Lord Chaitanya said to the elderly gentleman, in the form of a sannyasi, "What is the actual goal in life?" And the sannyasi said, "Thank you for asking that question. The actual goal in life is to enjoy life to the ultimate, to eat, drink, be merry, and enjoy." Lord Chaitanya didn't like the answer. Immediately he responded by saying, "Actually, the actual goal of life is to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and worship him with devotion." Sannyasi became quite disturbed hearing that. And he said, "Just see, these young personalities who are just fresh from their wombs of their mothers, and they are telling us what is the actual purpose of life." And then there was a little argument ensued, and Lord Nityananda said, no, we shouldn't argue. Let's have some prasadam. The sannyasi said, yes. And so he said, I will bring prasadam. So he called his wife, and his wife came out with a plate of prasadam. And Lord Chaitanya is thinking he's a sannyasi, and he has a wife. Pretty interesting. He's a grihasta sannyasi. So they were a little shocked. So Lord Chaitanya, when the prasadam was brought, he said, actually, I'm kind of fasting today. So I'll just give me a little fruit, that's all. And then the sannyasi said, would you like some bliss? Some bliss. And the Lord Chaitanya turned to Nityananda and says, what does he mean, bliss? Lord Nityananda said, he wants to know if you want some wine. Lord Chaitanya said, let's go. So they ran out of the house. They jumped in the Ganga with their clothes on, because it says that if you get contaminated, you should immediately jump in the holy river to get free from the contamination. After some time, they dried themselves off and came and began their trek towards Shantipur. They arrived at the area of the house of Advaita. Advaita was sitting outside with his wife, Sita Thakurani. Haridas Thakur was also there. And Lord Chaitanya, from a distance, in a very angry mood, was staring at Advaita. And then all of a sudden, he bolted fast, running at high speed, and he was running straight towards Advaita. And when he got there, he started to palm it in with his fist, and he's beating Advaita. And Advaita is thinking, now he's accepting me as his servant. And the Lord just kept beating him. And Sita Thakurani says, he's an old man, you're going to kill him. Please stop. But Lord Chaitanya didn't hear much. And Haridas Thakur was laughing. And then finally the Lord stopped. He said, what are you doing, Advaita? Why? Don't you know I have come? And now you're preaching against me. And Advaita said, thank you for accepting me as your servant. Now I am happy. Because the Guru, he can beat his disciples. Just remember that. He takes, and it's also good for the disciples to get a little mercy sometimes. We always want the sweet mercy, but that's mercy too, but it's a little different kind of mercy. So those of you who are attached to family life and TV and all kinds of nonsense, we come and we give you a little special mercy. Shakshi's not so happy. That's all right. Your happiness will come later. So, yeah. So Advaita was so happy. And then, of course, he stopped his Yoga Vashishta. One time, Advaita, Lord Chaitanya never liked him to be glorified as the Supreme Lord. But Advaita wanted to glorify one time, so he said, he gathered all of the disciples, all of the followers together, and he said, let's have kirtan. But today we will do a different kind of kirtan. We will chant Gauranga. 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 And so disciples, the followers, they were looking, we can't do that. They were looking confused because Advaita Acharya was senior to all of them, and now he's telling them to chant Gauranga. But they knew Lord Chaitanya would become angry if he found out. He wasn't there. But Advaita was like, he was like a cheerleader. Come on, chant Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. And finally, they all got inspired and they start chanting Gauranga, 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 and chanting Gauranga's name. And Lord Chaitanya, from a distance, he could hear the kirtan. He said, "Oh, wow, kirtan, the devotees having kirtan." So he came. When he got close, he saw what was going on and he heard, "Why are they not chanting Krishna's name?" Then he heard what they were chanting. He immediately turned around, left, went back to his room and closed the door and locked it and went to sleep. Because at the time when, actually I left the part out, the time when he came, the devotees slowed down in their kirtan, but Advaita kept saying, "No, chant more, Gauranga, Gauranga, Gauranga." So after some time, the Lord came out of his room. It was during the midday, and Srivas Thakur came to meet him. And the Lord looked at Srivas and said, "Srivas, why are the devotees chanting? Why are they not chanting Krishna's name? Why are the devotees not chanting Krishna's name?" So Srivas took his hand and held it high above his head with his palm wide open in the direction of the sun. And Lord Chaitanya said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm blocking out the sun." Lord Chaitanya said to Srivas, "You can't block the sun with your hand." And then Srivas said, "Yes, and you can't hide yourself from us." The Lord Chaitanya was defeated. He didn't say anything, but he wasn't so happy either. So these are some pastimes with Advaita. Advaita, he held the Shradapatra ceremony, which was to honor the best of all Brahmins. And Haridas Thakur was also there. He wasn't Brahmin, but he came to witness the ceremony. And all of the leading Brahmins from Shatipur and other places had come to the place of Advaita. And Advaita gave a very inspiring talk, and then the finale was he was going to award the Shradapatra the honor of being the best of all Brahmins to the chief Brahmin. But to the chagrin of all of these Brahmanas, he gave the award to Srila Haridas Thakur, who was not even born in a Brahmin family. He was born in a Malaysia family. And Haridas Thakur was kind of astonished. But he said, "Yes, you are the best of all Brahmins because you are always glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead." So these are some of the pastimes of Advaita Acharya. There are many, many other ones. Advaita Acharya had 6 sons. 3 of them became Vaishnavas, and 3 of them became impersonalists and Mayavadis. It's interesting that even the Supreme Lord produces sons, but the sons didn't become like their father. At least 3 of them didn't, out of the 6 sons. And these 3 sons were called Asara. Sara means beneficial, useful, auspicious. But Asara means useless. It says if you have a son and he's not a devotee or he's not very learned, he's useless. So don't blame me. I'm just repeating the Shastras. So there's 2 kinds of, the sun comes from the same thing, same part of the body. So there is what we say, life comes from that part, and also urine comes from that same part. So a son that is not a not a devotee or not very learned at all, then he is no better than urine. That's in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyway, so what good can a son like that do? No good. Of course, Shastras don't mince words. They don't patronize anybody's feelings. They tell you things straight according to the reality of the spiritual and material existence. So sometimes we get shocked to hear certain things from the Shastras, but the Shastras are not there to kind of like please everybody. They're telling what is the actual reality. So we have to understand things according to higher knowledge and not simply how we feel towards something. And of course, if we accept the Shastras, then we make spiritual advancement by that knowledge. Okay, these are some of the qualities, pastimes of Advaita Acharya. He lived 125 years. After Lord Chaitanya's mission had become complete, Advaita Acharya sent a very mysterious note that he wrote to Lord Chaitanya and saying that everyone in the marketplace is satisfied, everyone has become mad, there's no more shortage of rice. So no one could understand what he was saying except Lord Chaitanya. And then Lord Chaitanya said, he called me to come into this world, now he's telling me to go back. Now, also Advaita made that statement to saying, you did your mission, you purified people everywhere, now it's time for you to go back to the spiritual world. And the Lord accepted that, and then later he wound up his pastimes. Panchatattva Mukam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhakta Kyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam. So Bhakta Avataram, that is Advaita. He is the Supreme Lord, but he is an incarnation of the devotee. So he plays that role as the best of all devotees, although he is the Supreme Lord. Very similar to the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we get a little insight of Advaita Acharya, and we chant Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. And we always preface that mantra before the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in order to get the mercy of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we pray to the Panchatattva, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his avatar, his pure devotee, his devotee incarnate, and his internal energy, Shaktimam. So these five personalities, incarnation, manifestation, representing of the pure devotee, devotee avatar, and the Shakti, which is Gadadhar, these make up the absolute truth. So Prabhupada would say, the Mayavadis, they say God has no form, but we're showing that God not only has no form, he has five forms in the form of the Panchatattva. Because they represent, Pancha means five and Tattva means transcendental truth. They represent the highest form of spiritual understanding. Okay, these are little of the many. Read the 6th chapter of Adi Leela, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and you can get a greater insight of or more information about Advaita Acharya.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Such a wonderful class. Nice narration of the pastimes. As you said, very little description about Advaita Acharya of unlimited qualities. Thank you so much. Dear devotees, any questions or comments or anything you want to share, you can please go ahead now and please turn on your cameras, possible.
So many hands, I can't figure out which one to choose.
Yeah. Yeah, Divya.
Divya. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the assembled devotees here. Guru Maharaj, thank you so much for enlightening and enlivening us with the, on the most important auspicious day of Advaita Acharya and how, he has the, about his feet pastimes with the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I read this chapter, Guru Maharaj, in the morning. I just wanted to understand that you know, it is said in the chapter that how Nanda Maharaja, the gopis, and Uddhava and Radharani had the very intimate, relationship with Lord Krishna, and how they always have that sentiment of servitude. So how I just wanted to understand that how our, activities, that spiritual activities or the devotional service that we do every day, how can we develop that sentiment of servitude that, Krishna is pleased and our love and devotion for Krishna gets increased? Thank you.
It says, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Saruka Munoi, Sravanari Seri Chitte Koriye Udoi. In the hearts of all living beings, pure love for God exists. That love is there in all living beings. But the association of the material energy puts a somewhat of a cloud or covering over that identity of our pure devotion towards Krishna. So the process of bhakti is to cut away that cloud, that illusion, that covering, which are the effects of the three modes of material energy: goodness, passion, and ignorance. So the process works. We take seriously to the process. The essence of the process is to every day chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Carefully try to avoid the offenses in chanting. Every day, Anasta Prayeshu Abhajresam Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Every day, hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada said we should read Bhagavatam at least 1 hour every day. At other times, he even said 2 hours. One time he said 5 hours. And serve Vaishnavas. You won't make any tangible advancement unless you actually take up practical devotional service in terms of doing something to support the whole process of Krishna consciousness. That's why we have our temples. Devotees go to the temples, meet each other, find ways to engage in devotional service at the temple, take part in the programs, make friends with the devotees, and find different ways to engage in service of the devotees along with serving the mission of Lord Chaitanya. So this is the process. If we don't do these things, then the coverings will stay there. The non-devotees want to be happy, and they think that adjusting the material energy from one side to another, trying different ways to see life and live life, will bring about a better material situation. But it never happens, because you can't adjust the material energy by your own power. Material energy is under the control of Krishna, and it's So all we can do is cut away those coverings through the process of bhakti. Taking prasadam only, hearing the glories of the Lord, chanting the glories of the Lord, chanting the holy name of the Lord, which is the glories of the Lord personified, associating and serving Vaishnavas. That we have to do. That's fundamental. Lord Chaitanya emphasized that, and that's one of the main pillars of bhakti. So otherwise, these coverings you can do whatever you want, they won't move. In fact, they'll get thicker. So yeah, we have to take up the process in a regulated way. And gradually through the process, we cut through this illusion. As I said, pure love of God is there. It's in the heart. You don't have to bring it out in from somewhere else. You don't have to create it. All you have to do is uncover it. And that means cutting through all of the Maya, which is due to our association with these three modes that have been there since time immemorial. Ever since we came to the material world, we've had a different type of body. And each time we have a body, we add coverings onto the soul. Some people are so covered by the material energy, they can't even understand, even theoretically, that there's something different in the material body. You can explain to them from all different angles of vision, but their bodily concept of life is so deep and so thick, they can't even begin to understand. They even think it's not even true. That's how thick these coverings can get. But as we practice devotional service, they gradually become less. Just as the sun in the early morning, it's still dark out, but then you get an idea that the sun is coming up over the horizon when you see a little glimmer of light in the horizon. You can't see the sun, but you can see the reflex of the sun's rays coming from a distance yet, but it's still below the horizon. As it goes closer and closer to the horizon, rising upward, the light becomes brighter and brighter and brighter. And pretty soon, even though there's no sun, it's light out. But then at one point, the sun comes. So this is how our purification is coming. These darknesses, due to the modes of material nature, will become less and less by the light of the sun of Krishna consciousness. But it doesn't happen overnight.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true, Guru Maharaj.
We have to seriously take to the process. And we might say, well, I have no taste. But if you take to the process, you will gain a taste for the process, because the process is by nature very joyful. And once you get a taste, then that inspires you to go far more and more into the process. Then it becomes your life. Then material life is not even there anymore. Prabhupada was talking about that today. He says, yeah, devotee is, even in the material world, they can experience the spiritual world here in the material world, because they're fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, that's true, Guru Maharaj, that you said that there is a covering, on our soul. But yesterday I was reading this, I started Chaitanya Charitamrita with my son, and I'm blessed that, his name is Chaitanya only. So I was giving him the explanation of chapter 1, where it says that, there is a lot of coverings on our heart as well. So Chaitanya Charitamrita actually helps us to get into that inner coverings of our heart, and then that sun and the moon can shine and go into the inner parts of our life. So it's very nice, and you actually, try to give that revision of that verse, that how spiritual masters can help directly to get into that inner mode parts of our heart, and then we can see the Krishna form there.
Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Sanodido Gorodaya Pushpanvanto Chitra Sando Tamo Nudo Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda are like the sun and the moon,
Yes.
and they have arisen simultaneously over the horizon of Gaudiya to give light in this dark age of Kali. So where do you see the sun and the moon rising simultaneously? Nowhere. But Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda have combined together to give light. Nitai pada kamalam koti chandra sushitala yechayaya jagadudaya. The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are like millions of cooling moons, just like the moon gives cooling rays coming from its light. When Prabhupada says, when people work hard in the summertime and they're very tired at night, when the moon is out, they sit underneath the moonlight and they get nourished. Their bodies become again energized by the light of the moon. So Lord Nityananda's lotus feet are like millions of cooling moons. They give us spiritual energy. And Lord Chaitanya is like that bright sun, which when it rises over the horizon, it lights up everything in all directions. Now these two personalities, Gaur Nitai, Prajendra Nandanaye Sachi Suto Hole say Balaram Hoilo Nitai. Dina Hina Chata Chila Harinama Udarila Tar Shakshi Jagai and Madai. So take shelter of Gaur Nitai. They are the incarnations in this age. We can worship Krishna, but we really can't approach Krishna unless you approach Krishna through the mercy of Gaur Nitai. Then only you can approach Krishna in this age.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
That's why we always chant Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Madam.
Sridevi Mataji.
Thank you, Shimti. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to Advaita Acharya. Today, on this day of Advaita Acharya's appearance, I was remembering many years ago in New Talavan, there was a Srila Prabhupada disciple called Gokul Ranjan Prabhu. And he was doing a lot of plays, dramas, even during his time, I mean, when Srila Prabhupada was there. And Srila Prabhupada gave him this instruction that you should enact plays, you should act in plays like this. So on Advaita Acharya's appearance day, we thought of this play, but there was very little time. It was last minute. So we came up with this idea of a silhouette drama where Advaita Acharya is seen with the light behind the actor, and a screen in front of the actor. So it's like only seen in silhouette. And Advaita Acharya is calling out, offering Ganga water and Tulsi Manjaris and calling out to Lord Chaitanya, and then Lord Chaitanya comes and the whole thing, then the screen is removed and the Panchatattva are dancing. It was so wonderful. And Gokul Rajan Prabhu was ecstatic. He was so happy. After many years, he was doing that play. And I was remembering that the dramas that, we had enacted at New Talavan. So just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me of that devotee. I only met him a couple times, but each time I met him, it was like a wonderful experience. I think he's still there, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, he's still very much there. Very wonderful personality.
Thank you, Mataji, for sharing that. Thank you. Manisha Mataji, please go.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for such a wonderful lecture. Maharaj, I just wanted to know that what is the last pastime of Lord Chaitanya and how did Lord Chaitanya leave this planet?
Yeah. there was kirtan going on in the Tota Gopinath temple in Jagannath Puri. And the devotees were chanting and dancing, and Lord Chaitanya was also there. It was an uproarious kirtan. And at one point, Lord Chaitanya left the kirtan. No one actually noticed that he left, and the kirtan went on. And then all of a sudden, simultaneously, they all had this feeling, he's gone. He's gone. Stopped the kirtan and they looked all over, couldn't find him. So the Gopinath Didi there, Tota Gopinath, there's a mark on his right thigh, on the very top part of his right thigh. And it says that Lord Chaitanya entered into that Didi through that mark. Why did he choose that? Because of his love for Gadadhar Pandit. Gadadhar Pandit was worshipping Tota Gopinath, and was Lord Chaitanya who had gave him that Didi to worship Gopinath for his entire life. So that is the accepted pastime by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. There's a second pastime that people say he left, which is somewhat accepted also, that he was taking darshan in front of Jagannath, and he just disappeared into Lord Jagannath, being non-different than Jagannath. That pastime, we accept the one with Tota Gopinath, at least the ISKCON devotees. And there's a third story, which we completely reject. Others say that he walked into the ocean and disappeared. That one we reject that one. So, according to our Acharyas, we accept that he went into the body of Tota Gopinath to show his love for Gadadhar Pandit.
Okay. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Mataji. There is a question on chat by Sri Advaita Das Prabhu. He is asking Maharaj, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Sri Advaita Acharya. Maharaj, Advaita Acharya is known as the one who fervently prayed for Lord Krishna to descend as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His calling is said to be one of the reasons for the Lord's appearance. How does this demonstrate the power of a devotee's prayer, and what can we learn from his example in our own spiritual practice?
Don't try it. Don't ask the Lord to come. He's already come in the form of the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So if you ask him to come, he'll somehow or other inform you that he's already there. Just chant his name. That was one of the external reasons, but it says in the Shastras that the Lord actually descended for the internal reasons. The external reasons were secondary. To reestablish religious principles, to enact the Yuga Dharma, the chanting of the holy name, and to respond to the calls of Advaita. These were secondary. The original, or the most prominent reason why the Lord appears was for the internal reasons. And that's related to Radharani's love for Krishna. And there's three internal reasons. So it says in the Shastras, it just so happened that simultaneously, the time for him to come to enact the Yuga Dharma, chanting of the holy name, and his own personal as Lord Chaitanya and the Muda Radharani was simultaneous. So really, he came for the internal reasons. The external reasons were there also, and he performed activities around both of those 6 reasons, 3 internal, 3 external. That's in the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita and chapter number 4.
I hope that helps him, Prabhuji.
So offering prayers to the Lord we shouldn't ask for anything material. We should ask for, purification of the heart, enthusiasm to chant the holy. In other words, we should ask for something that'll be beneficial to our spiritual advancement. And if you sincerely pray, and the word sincerely is important, if you sincerely pray, then in due course of time, your desire will be fulfilled. Anything spiritual, the Lord will he's very much inclined to fulfill those prayers. When people pray to him for something material, he goes to his secretary. The secretary says, Joe Blow down the street wants a new car. He said, well, send that to Vishnu's office. I don't have time for that one.
Yes, Maharaj.
I'm not just making some joke. He doesn't deal with material. When you pray to Krishna for something material, it's like doesn't go anywhere. It goes to Vishnu, not to Krishna. Because Vishnu is the maintainer in the material world. Then it's up to him to decide whether to give it to you or not. To Krishna, we pray only for pure devotional service.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. So, I was thinking when I was reading Bhagavatam, in that Srila Prabhupada was mentioning that the standard procedure to approach the Lord in the form of prayer is to first glorify the Lord, and then we have to pray for him or pray to him. So sometimes, or most of the time, we don't remember to glorify the Lord. Always we are ready with our own list of things which we wanted from the Lord. So, yeah, I just was wondering when you were saying that we should not ask for material. So, yeah, I was just remembering that, Maharaj.
He's given you everything material anyway. What do you need to ask for?
Yeah, that's true. Thank you, Maharaj. Dear devotees, any more questions or comments? Rishabhana Prabhu, you raised your hand previously. Do you still have any? Yeah, please go ahead. You have to unmute. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your patience. I had to sort technology, which is always baffles me. Hare Krishna, Dandvat Pranams to our Guru Maharaj. Please accept our humble obeisances. To be honest, I think questions which have been asked have resolved things for me. But all I can say is I'm a learner Thank you, Guru Maharaj, to bring us under your shelter and to put us on this path of Krishna consciousness. There is a lot to learn, lot to do, and I'm always ready for your blessings and beatings that you mentioned, that Guru Maharaj can give some punishment when required. So feel free to do it. I'm very grateful from both of us. And Hare Krishna, thank you very much.
Don't worry, you're okay. You don't have to worry about that, Mercy.
Thank you so much.
Haribol, Haribol.
Read Chaitanya Charitamrita. That would be my nourishment that you were asking for.
Thank you.
Especially at this time of the year. And in another 1 week, we're honoring Nityananda's appearance day. And then after that, within another month will be Lord Chaitanya's appearance day. Here's a opportune time to, learn more about Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda and how merciful they are.
I take on board your instructions. Frankly, I've got Srimad Bhagavatam set, but now this prompts me to buy Chaitanya Charitamrita, which I like, and have it in the next to me. So I'll take that instruction, and Hare Krishna, thank you very much.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada has done masterful. It's the most amazing presentation of the life of Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yes, Maharaj. Jai. Nice. Sridevi Mataji, please go ahead.
On this subject of beating Guru Maharaj, I wanted to share that Gaur Govinda Maharaj, he would slap his disciples and they would be ecstatic after getting slapped. They would crowd nearer around him, and as he would tell more pastimes, he would say, "You rascal, why are you so attached?" and give them one more slap like this. And it is said that devotees were just, ecstatic when their Guru Maharaj was, on the planet and giving them mercy like that. That's just something I heard. That said, Guru Maharaj, Rasavilasini Mataji has a question. Advaita Acharya, she offers her obeisances, and then she asks, Advaita Acharya's 3 sons were devotees and 3 were non-devotees. 3 sons became impersonalists. Why is that 3 of his sons did not become devotees?
Every living entity has its free will. Krishna had a son who became a demon. His name was Boma. And he got association with Narakasura, and then he became Bomasura. And Krishna fought with him and killed him, actually. So Krishna killed his own son. Prabhupada says Krishna is not partial. If the demons surrender to him, he elevates them. If the devotees become demons, then he can kill them. So don't become a demon.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Okay. Yeah, so the living entity has choice. Prahlad Maharaj was born in a demoniac family, but he was a pure devotee. We see, in our present day society, devotees were coming from demoniac families and they became Krishna conscious. To get killed by Krishna, Silpesh, is not so easy. That's special mercy. Krishna is killing everyone through the material energy anyway. But if you want the direct mercy, you have to qualify yourself. You have to be a very special, highly qualified demon, not an ordinary demon. So, yeah, that's very special mercy because you immediately get liberation if you're killed.
Thank you, Maharaj. Sakshi Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to you. I was wondering, Maharaj, we always complain why Krishna is imposing suffering upon us. But as you were mentioning that even Sachi Mata, she suffered, she had 8 miscarriages. And before the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so what to speak of us? So Maharaj, I wanted to know what could be the reason why did she suffer?
Bhishma Dev would cry when he heard what the Pandavas had to do, what the Pandavas had to go through. Pandavas were Krishna's personal associates. Yet they were put through so much difficulty by their cousin brothers, the Kauravas. Bhima was fed a poison cake. They were ostracized in the jungle for 13 years. They were put into a house of shellac and set on fire. They were attacked by cannibal type rakshasas. And Bhishma Dev was the grandfather of the Pandavas also. And when he saw what the Pandavas had to go through, it says he even shed tears. How close they were to Krishna, that kind of privilege, because unless where you become a very advanced devotee, then you don't get that kind of mercy. Because that glorifies. Prabhupada, look what Prabhupada had to go through to spread Krishna consciousness. I mean, Krishna could have gave him an airline ticket from Bombay to New York, but he didn't. He put him on a boat for 38 days on sea, 2 heart attacks, seasickness. He had his 3rd heart attack when he came to America. These are special mercy by the Lord, just to glorify his pure devotee. The pure devotee will never give up the Lord no matter what happens. If we were put through something like that, we might think, what is the use of this Krishna consciousness? So don't try to imitate the great souls. Anyway, just living in the material world, there's difficulties. Those we have to deal with. We can't even deal with the difficulties in the material world. What to speak about these special situations where the devotees put into life-threatening situations. Somebody steals our Mahaprasadam, we get upset. You put your shoes at the Ujjain temple and you come out, it's gone. The end of this, it's like the end of the world. I lost my favorite shoes. Somebody says something you don't like and it bothers you the whole day. So
Thank you,
Thank
Maharaj.
you, Maharaj.
Okay.
you want some special mercy, you can pray for it. Queen Kunti said, let those calamities come again and again. That way we can see you again and again. For by seeing you, then we don't have to see birth and death in this material world.
Maharaj, on this topic, like I just want to follow up. Like I heard in one class that Krishna will not give you the difficulties beyond your capacity, like to handle them. So
Right.
is okay.
But you always think it's more than you can handle.
Yeah, that's true.
But Krishna can see all you need to do is surrender more, and then you'll be able to overcome these difficulties. He's forcing you to come to a greater form of surrender, more complete form of surrender. We don't trust Krishna. That's our problem. We trust material energy more than we trust Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj. Dear devotees, any more questions or comments?
Keep going on the questions. Yeah, I'm here. I'm just going to do something. But keep going with the
Yes, ma'am.
questions.
Dear devotees, any more questions? Maharaj, I have a small question. Like when you mentioned about Lord Shiva, the name Shambhu, is it for the Sadashiva or the Shiva who is in the universes, in different universes?
The Shiva in a different universes.
Okay. Okay. Sridevi Mataji, please.
The
Today, what
Sadashiva is purely spiritual.
Okay.
He's a spiritual personality. The Shiva in the material universes, he's Shiva Shakti. He's between Vishnu Shakti and Jiva Shakti.
Yes, Maharaj, got it.
Shiva's opposed. You have to understand that. Brahma's opposed. Shiva's opposed. But there's the original Shiva also, which is not opposed, he has a Vaikuntha planet in the spiritual world.
Yes,
We don't hear much about that Shiva. You have to do some research in the Puranas to find out more.
Okay, Maharaj. Yeah, thank you. Sridevi Mataji, please go ahead.
Guru Maharaj, today we had His Holiness Bhakti Vigna Vinasha Narasimha Swami giving a class, and he said the Brahmanas are actually the leaders of society. They guide, they influence, they advise society. But in today's world, we find the scientists have taken their place, and people just listen to scientists telling them, it's like this, it's like that. But actually, they don't know anything. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada wanted that our devotee scientists preach to these scientists and explain to them life comes from life and so on. And he said that during the crisis time or say COVID time or something like that, people just don't know where to turn. So they listen to these scientists, whatever they have to say. Now, we can understand people who don't have any knowledge listening to scientists. But devotees in crisis situation, like that COVID scandal and all that, why we should listen to them? We should listen to Srila Prabhupada. But yet so many devotees were hooked onto the narrative coming from the media, coming from so-called scientists and so on. So why is it that in crisis situation, when we need to actually go deeper into what Prabhupada is saying, that's the time we desert ship and jump onto the popular media?
Yeah, that's the problem. Why do devotees listen to the non-devotees for advice? It's bewildering. Even people who are very senior in the movement were doing it. I mean, I fought against it, and I was somewhat able to influence a lot of devotees not to listen. And after the whole thing was over, those devotees who were supporting the scientists, they remained unusually quiet. They never said anything again because they knew they were wrong. The results were there. Devotees who listened to the scientists, some people died and some people got permanent health damages because of that. And then the health damages are still going on today. So yeah, I don't know. You should. I mean, it's everything against Srila Prabhupada. If you listen to Prabhupada, you won't be so much bewildered by. And Prabhupada said, the scientists nowadays are mostly all demons. They're simply working to create things to destroy people. And that came from one scientist who, I know this one girl from Boston, and she has a friend whose father's the scientist, and he was saying, yeah, my colleagues in the laboratory, they're always trying to invent things that are destructive. And that's their scientific research. Yeah, and they say, well, we're doing medical research. Well, where's the results? There's no results. I mean, this is a whole big topic. And it's also not spiritual topic, but we still have to live in this material world. So we shouldn't, Prabhupada said, build these farm communities. And you could listen, if you listen to these lectures, Prabhupada said, every herb, every medicine that could possibly be needed for the human society is there in nature. He said, you just have to learn how to use it. That's everything is in nature. You can listen to the class. First canto, 8th chapter, verse number 40. He gave 2 classes on that, one in Los Angeles and one in Mayapur. And in one of them, he said, yeah, everything is in nature. Prabhupada didn't want us to depend on the secular world for anything. He wanted us to completely pull out and create our own culture within the society based on simple living, Krishna consciousness. And because we haven't done that, we're still swayed by the media. It's bewildering to me anyway.
Maharaj, I feel that because the media around us is very influential and it is already always available handy, that's why people are more attracted to the media rather than the knowledge or the devotion which they have to get in the time of crisis.
Yeah, I could read you a retirement speech by a prime reporter from the New York Times. I have it on my computer. I don't know if it might take me a little time to find it. But after 50 years of working for the New York Times, he's addressing his colleagues. Now he's retiring. This was the honorary banquet they had to honor his resignation, not resignation, his retirement. And what he said, we're all prostitutes. We can't write what we want to write. We have to acquiesce to the status quo. So he knew that any stories that he wrote, if it wasn't approved by higher powers, those stories wouldn't fly. They have a particular thing that they want to put out to the general population, and your articles have to fit within that. And if it doesn't, that article doesn't get published. If you want to publish it, you have to find your own means to do it. And that's what's going on now. People are getting out of and creating their own media. So yeah, the media is taken over by the demons. That's a fact. Demons control the media. They control the entertainment industries. They're in the political fields. They're in the medical fields. And they're even trying to get into the religious fields also. They're also there also. Pharmacy, the food industry is also all controlled by demons. Not just misled people, but people who have evil intentions or personal desires to, so all you have to do is listen to Prabhupada. I'm not telling you to go into any special media area. Just listen to Prabhupada. He explains everything.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you. Dear devotees, any last minute questions or comments? Maharaj, we are 30 minutes past 1 hour, so shall we chant for some time?
I got a little behind in my general work today, and I don't have much time left because it's already 6:30 at night here. So I have some things to do, but you can go, all of you can go into the chanting and, get absorbed. I'll have to just ask for your pardon, and I won't be able to attend tonight. So
Yes, Maharaj, that's totally fine.
One last thing, Guru Maharaj. Last year on Advaita Acharya's appearance day, I received the supreme fortune of a home in Mayapur Dham by your mercy. I signed the papers and became the legal owner of this home. Exactly on Advaita Acharya's appearance day.
Jai. There's a lot of good things that happen on this day.
Yeah, nice. Happy
That's your present abode that you're living in now?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Okay.
Happy anniversary, Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you. Guru Maharaj has come, stayed in my home and purified it completely, and will be back again in 10 days.
Yeah.
And we'll have to start again, but anyway. We weren't finished. We're working on it. I mean, she's talking about one type of purification. I'm talking about another kind. Open those closets and get rid of those things that have been there since the beginning of time.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, working on it, throwing out things.
That's a general statement. Okay, so have a wonderful japa period, and we'll see you all tomorrow. One small question to Srimati.
Yes, Maharaj.
Were you able to connect with the devotees in to get that medicine for me?
Yes, Maharaj. Yes, they have a website and we can order there. I saw the medicine name also there. I'm going to order soon.
Okay, and you can just bring it to the
Um,
disciples meeting.
Yes,
Yeah.
Maharaj.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Sri
Jai.
Advaita Acharya ki jai,
Jai.
Sita Avirbhav Mahamah ki jai.
Jai.
Jai Ho, Guru Maharaj for amazing.